and welcome to week 5 of the Tailgate. That's Ralph Vacchiano. I'm Michelle Margaux. And Ralph, no matter what the NFC East standings look like right now, this week is still Giants-Cowboys. What is your favorite moment from the rivalry?
Well, certainly not this one, because this might be a low point in the rivalry. I mean, you're talking about an 0-4 team, a 1-3 team, and both of them still have a chance in this incredibly bad division. The one that always sticks out is in 2009, the first game ever at the brand new Cowboys Stadium. Not only did the Giants win 33-31, it was a dramatic game. Eli Manning, after the game, this is what really sticks out, signed the wall of the locker room, put the score, put first win at Cowboys Stadium. It was just his perfect way of showing up Jerry Jones.
Oh, I wonder how long it lasted up there.
You know, Jerry Jones, about a year or so later, said he was going to memorialize it. I don't know if he put a frame on it or cut it out and hid it somewhere, but apparently he still has it someplace. He wasn't going to let it go away for good.
Well, let's start with the opening coin toss. Ralph, between the Jets and the Giants, which team do you think is going to get a win first this season?
Can I choose neither? Is that a possibility?
Negative Nancy.
Yeah, I know we want to be positive here and make this an upbeat show, but they're making it so hard right now. I have to pick the Giants for this reason. 5 of their next 6 games are against the NFC East, and that division is as bad as it gets. The Jets' schedule is terrible. We knew that. Both these teams are equally bad, but Giants have some pretty bad opponents coming up.
All right, well, let's talk some tight ends between Evan Ingram and Chris Herndon. Which has the better chance of living up to their expectations?
Yeah, it's another one where I might go neither at this point. But Chris Herndon's been terrible, and the Jets have not figured out a way to use him, and that's really disappointing because they have no other weapons, so you think they would rely on him more. I'll go with Evan Ingram only because late in the Giants game against the Rams, they started to go to him a little bit more. He showed some signs of getting open. I still think there's potential there. I'm not so sure of that with Chris Herndon anymore.
We're going to test your psychic abilities, Ralph. Who is going to win the NFC East and how many wins will they have?
I want to vote neither again and say that nobody's going to win this. I know someone has to.
Are you having a bad day, Ralph?
I really am having a bad day. You know, you watch enough bad football over the years and eventually it wears you down. I would say probably the team that's going to win the NFC East is the Dallas Cowboys. They are putting up crazy numbers on offense, and I'm going to go with 8 wins, and honestly, they're probably only going to get that many because they have an entire division to beat up on all season long.
Well, the Giants fans just stopped watching, so thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Come back in a couple of weeks, guys. Promise it'll be better.
Time now for a new segment that we like to call Where's the Beef? And Ralph, I'm assuming that you saw the end of the Giants-Rams game where Golden Tate and Jalen Ramsey got into it. They had some personal issues leading up to that game, but Jalen Ramsey was waiting for Golden Tate outside the locker room after the game. It's actually kind of impressive that they made it through the game without that happening.
Yeah, because Ramsey had a big hit on Tate during the game, and you thought for a second that maybe things were going to boil over there. You would think that despite their personal issues, they would behave like grown men, but you know, as we all know, some grown men are just kind of older boys.
All right, well, this got us thinking about other football beefs. Back in 2015, Odell Beckham Jr. and Josh Norman started a year-long feud, and in a single game, they combined for 5 personal fouls against each other.
This game was wild because you could see it bubbling over right from the beginning. And, you know, Odell Beckham was young then, but the book was already out on him that you could get under his skin. Nobody did it like Josh Norman, and it just kept building and building and building and ended up with Beckham getting suspended.
Yeah, well, Beckham also got in a fight with a kicking net. So.
Yes, but he later proposed to that kicking net, so everything he made up with him, didn't make up with Josh Norman, but he and the kicking net lived a very happy life afterwards.
Yeah, a kicking net can get a proposal, but I can't, so.
Aw.
Back in 2014, Zach Mettenberger was named the starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, and he posted a Snapchat selfie that said, I'm a starting NFL QB, get some. And in the first game that he started, J.J. Watt got some, he sacked him, and afterwards his celebration was him pretending to take a selfie.
Yeah, this one I actually love because you don't fight, you don't say anything nasty. It was just like an ironic pose to sort of shove it back in his face to teach him a little lesson about what it's like to play with the big boys.
Well, last but not least, one feud that lasted several years, Aqib Talib and Michael Crabtree. Crabtree wore a giant gold chain around his neck in 2016. Talib ripped it off mid-game, and then a year later, Crabtree taped the chain to his bare chest. Not sure how that sounds a little painful. And then Talib still ripped it off, and then a brawl ensued after that.
No, Kelly Clarkson!
This always had the makings of one of those fake fight rivalry things, because it was like when I covered hockey and you'd have the goons who would talk before the game and say, hey, at this time of the game, we're going to drop our gloves. Then they would do it, and then they would go out for a beer after the game.
Well, this one has a happy ending. The best part is that TMZ actually caught them squashing it last year in the parking lot of a go-kart racetrack when their families were there.
Absolutely. See, there you go. They make up this big rivalry. They look like they're angry and they hate each other, and then they go out as friends.
Well, 2020 has certainly presented its fair share of challenges, and definitely when it comes to the football season, MetLife Stadium parking lots have been empty, but that does not mean people are not tailgating at their own homes. Let's check in with Joe Ruback, better known to Giants fans as license plate guy, and see his home field advantage.
Yo, welcome to LPG's Tailgate 2020, where I got a tailgate at home. Come on in. We got a little pizza and some wings to start with. Got the grill going later for some steaks, burgers, whatever else you want. Not used to this tailgate stuff. I'm normally at the games. So right about now, my friends and family start to come over. We put the TV on outside, and don't think I won't have the games going in December in freezing cold weather. They're gonna be right here watching the games this year in 2020. This is the man garage. And outside was just the 1 p.m. games. Come on, I'll show you where I watch a Giant game. So we're gonna watch the Giant game down here in the man cave. You see I got everything I need. We're gonna make sure we pick 1 jersey per quarter. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna change it up a little bit. 1 jersey per quarter. That should give the Giants at least 2 touchdowns a quarter. I'm ready in my helmet chair. Bring on the game, baby. Go Giants!
Ralph, I am speechless. He is living life correctly.
There's no question about that. And honestly, it's a lesson for everybody. We should all love something as much as he loves the Giants. That is true devotion.
I totally agree. But fans, don't forget to use the hashtag SNY Tailgate and tag us in your pictures and videos on Instagram and Twitter, and you could be featured in a future episode. Time to dip into the comments section and hear directly from you. Here's our first fan.
Hey Tailgate, this is Doms from Connecticut. Want to know what is going on with the offensive line? How many years do I have to wait before I get a decent line again? Where are the David Deals, the Sean O'Haras, the Rich Seiberts, the guys who you knew, not superstars, were just going to get the job done? Great show. Thanks a lot.
Well, to be honest, those guys that you talked about, David Deal, Sean O'Hara, Chris Snee, if they came back right now out of retirement, they'd be better than what the Giants are putting on the field. So how long are you going to have to wait to get to that? Again, honestly, I think you probably got another year. I like what they put together, but it takes time to build an offensive line. I don't know that it's going to happen this season, that's for sure.
All right, Ralph. So past couple of days, we've heard some former Giants, O.C. Umenyiora. We've heard Michael Strahan being a little bit critical here. We heard last week from Kyle Brandt describe Giants fans perfectly as people that tend to live in the past.
It's safer to live in the past, so it's good that they're doing that.
But what I want to know is, so searching for identity, what should the identity of the Giants be?
I think they're starting to build towards what their identity should be, which is a defense-heavy team. That's what we loved about the Giants. That's what you have right now. This defense is not terrible. I know that's a low bar, but if this defense can keep playing, they can win a few games. Maybe the offense will eventually catch up.
Ralph, switching gears to the Jets, Greg Williams did great things with that defense last year. Why don't you think that success is translated into 2020?
I think it was a miracle last year, to be honest. I mean, you know, when you looked at that team last year, you looked at those players, you thought, how is he turning this into a top 10 defense? Well, the bottom line is they just don't have the players. And I still don't know how he pulled it off a year ago, but to ask him to do it 2 years in a row was obviously too much.
I'm in the pocket. Woo! I'm in the pocket. Woo!
Let's head in the pocket where we put money in your pocket. And Ralph, I really hate to burst your bubble, but you are no longer undefeated. You went 1-2 last week.
Yeah, don't pay attention to that. Pay attention to the one, which was my lock of the week. That's the important thing right here.
You got it. All right, the Jets are 6.5-point underdogs against the Cardinals at home this weekend. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, what got me with those 2 losses last week was putting faith in the Jets. I still think that they just don't have the offensive pop and the defensive power to stay with a team like the Cardinals. So I'm not going to pick the Jets. I'm going to go with the Cardinals in this game. They're going to cover.
I just can't wait for the day where we can say they're favorites.
We're going to be waiting a long time. I hope we're on the air that long.
Turning to the Giants, they're 9-point underdogs in Dallas. What are your thoughts with that one?
In the last 2 weeks, Dak Prescott has thrown for almost 1,000 yards and 7 touchdown passes. In 4 games, the Giants' entire offense has 1,100 yards and 3 touchdowns. So even though I hate the spread, I have to pick the Cowboys.
What's going to be your lock of the week this week?
The Buccaneers are only favored by 5.5 points, which is still pretty big, over the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears right now, they're 3-1, but they have wins against a team that's 1-3, against a team that's 0-4, and against another team that's 0-4. They are absolute frogs. So I am picking the Buccaneers to win and cover that game. I'm guaranteeing that I'm going to be right.
Ralph's Lock of the Week.
There's no question here.
Well, that'll do it for this week's episode of The Tailgate. Thank you again to Joe Ruback. You can find him on social media at License Plate Guy. That's Ralph Vacchiano. I'm Michelle Margaux, and we'll see you next week.